welcome
to Sort of the Story.
I'm Janey.
And I'm Max.
And this is the podcast where we tell each other stories like fairy tales and folk tales and mythology.
That's it. And every time we have to come up with a new thing to say after that.
And also you are here. We have a set script, Max. Your line is, and also you are here.
No, that's your line. I have to say something and then you say, and also you are here.
Okay. Guys, it's episode 96, okay? We're still new at this. Hopefully by episode 100, we will be grown up enough to know what we're supposed to say.
Welcome.
And also you are here.
Yep.
So this podcast is not for children. If you're listening with kids, if you are a kid, we're going to curse a whole lot. It is explicit content. We do not censor ourselves. So please remove children from the room or put on headphones, I guess. I guess you can. There's technology here that can actually let you do both, watch your children and listen to a podcast.
Oh, you were saying put on headphones for yourself so you can listen through the headphones. I was thinking put headphones on your children so that you can blast the podcast in your house.
Give your children those yard headphones, the things that they wear at concerts and stuff. Make them walk around their own house wearing them.
While you blast us just cackling for an hour and a half
Talking
straight.
about piss toots.
Piss toots.
And that's your disclaimer. That's the one you're going to get.
Yeah.
Max.
Janey.
I had something very horrible happen last night. And I know you read about it on the Discord, but I'm going to tell you now. Just so everybody, this is a disclaimer. This is a PSA for anybody who wants to keep their sanity. I stayed up till 5 o'clock because I couldn't go to sleep.
Yeah, that's
Everything felt terrible. So I haven't used my noise canceling over-the-ear headphones in a while because I got AirPods, which just in Georgia in the summer, I couldn't wear the headphones anymore. I was sweating constantly. Our house is like 1,000,000 degrees constantly now. And so I haven't worn them in a while. So they were just sitting on my desk in my room. So finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear the over-the-ear headphones and I'm going to carve and it's going to be great. And so I put them on last night. They were fine. I wore them for over an hour, several episodes of New Girl. And then all of a sudden, something started tickling the inside of my ear. Like it was going into my ear canal.
Blah, blah,
and
blah.
Immediately I knew what it was. I was like, something's moving in there. I knew what it was. My heart sank. I almost threw up. I ripped the headphones off. And indeed, there was a little spider rolling around inside my headphones. And it tried to crawl into my ear. Anyway, had a meltdown.
Buddy,
posted about it on the Discord.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and call that a barf spectacular. That's the only way to describe that.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
It's a barf spectacular.
Yeah. I posted about it on the Discord, and as soon as I did, everyone was like, that's what? Why would you share? What? And I was like, maybe I should have put that under like the redacted thing where you have to uncover it. Like I should have given a trigger warning for people who have fears about spiders crawling in your ear. But if I have to experience, I'm sorry. So do you guys. All right? The vast majority of you don't pay for this content. This is the tax. You have to know that spiders sometimes can go in your ear.
This is also mere weeks after you woke up in the middle of the night to a giant cockroach crawling across your face.
Guys, did I tell you that story? Did I tell you that story? Georgia's trying to kill me. So in Georgia, we have these giant fucking cockroaches that are like the length of a thumb, maybe bigger sometimes.
Yeah, they call them palmetto bugs as though that makes it okay.
Yeah, because fucking Savannah is like Southern hospitality. We're going to have to, make this seem cuter. They're not cute. They're awful. And I woke up and Leaf was very close to me. And I was like, oh, I must have woken up because he's being a fucking freak and just staring at me intently like he's hunting me. And I was like, Leaf, go away. And then I feel little tickling on my neck. And I have neck issues anyway. Yeah. And I feel tickling on my neck. And I was like, Leaf is so close to me because his whiskers are here. And I put my hand up to touch his face. And then my hand just kept going until I touched his face farther away from me than his whiskers could reach. At which point I was like, oh, fuck. And so I reach over, I grab something on my neck and fling it across the room, turn on the lights, and it's a giant cockroach. Anyway, I did spray the house down today with the Home Defense, bug barrier thing. So.
Yeah. I am going on a vengeance quest against every spider. I refuse to allow them to fuck with you any further.
Thank you. Or cockroach, please. And we had the fucking tiny little lizard. So 2 best friends ran into our house last night. One was a giant spider, and one was a tiny lizard that honestly was so small it could ride the spider.
100%.
And probably was when they ran in together. Like, ah!
Yeah, and
I was
Janey
like, I'll
and
kill the spider. Max, go get that lizard so you can put it back outside.
Which also, I just want to say, heroic, courageous, brave.
Thank you. I was wearing
Beautiful.
I was wearing shoes at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we like smushed the spider, and then we were looking for the lizard and we couldn't find it, and we finally found it stuck in one of the little glue traps that we have next to the door for all the spiders that run in constantly.
Only for it's only big enough for like spiders, for the creepy crawlies.
Yeah.
Because we would never like let a mouse go in one
No,
of those.
God,
you
no.
know, like we're very much against spiders, but very much for everything else.
Yeah, so like all it catches are like the little earwigs and cockroaches and spiders and shit like that. But this tiny little orange lizard ran into the glue trap and got stuck. And so Janey and I spent like 45 minutes with like Janey was like liberally applying coconut oil to this poor little thing's paws, and I was using a toothpick to try and pull him off of the glue and like
gently.
shimmy him onto a paper towel.
I was like, this isn't going to work, like, because I know that the big thing with mice, the reason why you never want to have glue traps, guys, is because the only way for them to get free is they have to lose their feet. And I'm like, that I would never wish that on a single thing. Like, just kill it at that point. Like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And so, and then they starve to death on the glue trap. Just don't put
or some of them suffocate.
So yeah, don't put glue traps in your homes for things like that, please.
No.
I understand that saying this, and some people are like, what about the spiders? And I'm like, they should stay outside.
Yeah.
Except for the cute one that lives in our mailbox. For some reason, that one does not scare me.
Have you come up with a name for her yet?
I have not.
I think her name should be Ruby.
Ruby's a really cute one. She's a little brown spider. We like her. We like her because Ruby is smart. She stays all the way in the back, and every time you open it, she's like, oh, what the fuck? And she starts just waving all of her legs around at once. Like, she has our personality.
Yeah, Ruby has real, like, Kathy energy of, like, ack! Every time we open the mailbox, she's like, what the fuck?
I'm like, Ruby, you chose to live here multiple times a day. This box opens. Oh,
yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
She's also far enough outside of the house that I'm fine with her.
Yeah, and she's not, like, jumping on us when we get the mail either. Ruby stays where she's supposed to. I love her. I've never liked a spider before. That one's okay. As long as she stays in her lane. Yes. But this, oh God, what was I saying? Oh, so I was like, we're not going to be able to get this glue up. This little baby lizard is going to be stuck here. And then I was also convinced that you, with the toothpick, you were going to accidentally like rip off one of its legs or some of its toes or something. And I was like, I can't watch this thing suffer like this. So I was fully preparing myself to squish a lizard. I was like, I never want to do this, but I do want to put it out of its misery. We're just going to have to make it really quick, painless. Got to figure out a way to kill this lizard because I'm not going to let it die in the glue trap, buddy. And Max was like, stop giving up on it so fast. You're like, you have to give it more than 5 minutes of existential dread.
This comes from, you guys probably don't know this, but I have a long and storied history as a talented surgeon.
Oh, did we not tell you guys about Max's moonlighting career as a surgeon?
Dr. Doogie Howser. But like specifically, there have been more than the normal amount of times, especially when I have been under the influence of alcohol, where I've been called upon by the rod of Asclepius. What's the
Asclepius.
Yeah, I've been called upon by the powers of the rod of Asclepius to perform surgeries in emergency situations where I'm a little tipsy. And this was one of those where
it worked.
And it worked, and I killed it. And I have a lot of confidence in myself as I didn't kill the
saved
lizard.
It.
I killed the procedure.
You really
I did a great job.
Yeah. Except that, so I was at the beginning being like, okay, we'll just squish it real fast. And Max is like, no, we should try first to save a life before we become angels of death. And then after we got it off, and it was like we were letting it on a plate, like we first like would let it run through some coconut oil, and then we would let it run through some like shallow water so that it could wash the coconut oil off, so we didn't just like baste it and then send it outside. And as we were doing this, Max was like, should we like put it in like a box and keep him overnight? I was like, no, we're not keeping it overnight. He'll die overnight. He's so small. He has to be outside. And you were like, what if we just, though, like put a leaf in the box? And I'm like, we're not putting a leaf in the box. You have to put it outside. And so it was just like alternating panics, like different types of like anxiety. And the other one being like the voice of reason, like, hey, before we do that, let's not do that.
I still think it would have been a good idea to keep him overnight.
This is why you would have tried to keep this lizard forever as a pet.
No, I wouldn't. I've learned my lesson with that one.
Yeah, the lizards don't survive. When they're that little, they just don't survive. Like,
yeah, but just like overnight.
Nope.
No, but just
no sleepover.
Like overnight.
Nope. Night is when they hunt.
He won't get eaten.
He's gonna go outside and somebody's gonna be like, this has hints of coconut. This is
Ooh,
nice.
A little tropical lizard.
A little sticky.
You know what? I'm not mad about it. Yeah, so we saved that lizard. My other surgeries of note are I removed a splinter from the heel of someone's foot with a wine bottle opener, like a corkscrew.
Yeah.
And they didn't even feel it.
Nice.
And yeah, I've also done a couple on myself where I've like gotten splinters or like, had to, I think I gave myself a stitch one time. That one was not great.
How do you think that? Go back to that. How do you think and not know?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna need you to think on that one a little harder before you start throwing stuff around.
It was at a not great period in my life.
It was like when I called my sister after I was hit by a car and I was like, hey, I think I was just ran over by a car. Don't tell our mom. And she was like, hey, before you call me, you're gonna have to know. Before you pick up the phone next time, decide if you were ran over by a car or not.
Well, so I was like this was when we lived in Fairfax. I was fixing some clothes on the couch and watching a movie, and I heard something shatter outside, and I was a little bit drunk also at this point. Again, not a great period in my life. And I went outside and I like slipped on something and I fell on my knees into like a broken glass that had fallen off of our back porch or something like that.
Yeah.
And I got like this huge cut in my knee and I was still holding the sewing needle and I was like,
I can do this. I can make this happen.
Yeah.
I've never gotten stitches.
Me
Definitely
neither.
should have. I
Except for that one.
I saw my pinky bone one time when I got slammed in my pinky.
That's supposed to stay on the inside.
I know, that's what I said. It got slammed in a metal door at my old dorms in New York. Jesus. And we saw the bone. We're like, ah, fuck. So I just like layered up like 9 Band-Aids on it. And then we just let it go. And I still don't have feeling.
Band-Aids don't stack. I gotta make that really clear.
Well, they kept bleeding through. So we just kept like putting more.
Again, Band-Aids don't stack. They don't become more effective the more of them you use.
It does, because eventually they stop leaking. That's called effectiveness.
All right.
Anyway, I still have a crazy scar, and I'm a little numb still, but...
Wow.
Here's my scar.
That's a good scar.
It's a pretty good scar. Okay, well, that was a long fucking intro.
We
guys,
make good choices, and we have led normal and good lives.
And we are fine with books.
I am so sorry that happened to you.
I am being attacked. Okay, but also, my crazy is that if it happens twice, it has to happen a third time. I have to have at least one more bug encounter, and I'm not excited about it.
I can guarantee you that you will have at least one more bug encounter. We live in Georgia.
I know. I'm not excited.
No, that's going to be bad.
I'm not excited. Well, guys, if you liked this conversation, there's no good way to segue out of that. If you want to tell us your own bug stories or just be amongst the Discord members who got that story last night at 3 a.m. and then had to comfort me. The best comfort, I will say, was from Caston, or one of our favorite people. And Caston was like, hi, lots of people call me the bug person because I'm fine with bugs. And that would give me a mental breakdown. So valid. And I was like, I feel very validated. Thank you. I already knew that this freak out was justified. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, hearing somebody be like, hello, I'm a big, strong, manly man. And I like bugs and I'm not afraid of anything. And that would make me cry. Made me feel better.
Yeah, that's good.
Is it weird that I called him a big, strong, manly man?
It is a little weird. We should maybe cut that. It's so a little weird.
I don't know how to be a person. Okay. Well, if you want to be amongst all of those, I'm not going to cut it.
You have to.
Cassie can just fucking
so
deal with it.
You have to stop objectifying our Discord friends.
I really do. Who else would we objectify? Hot as shit.
We're not doing this.
Who do you think is hot as shit?
I'm not doing this with you. This
Okay.
isn't a group activity that I wish to participate in.
If you want to be a part of any of this stuff, you can by joining our Patreon and then by joining our Discord. Max, tell them how they can do both.
I'll tell you how you can do both, Janey. Mm-hmm. Frankly, you should know by now, but it's all right.
I'll
do it again.
Can you please? I keep forgetting.
We have a Patreon, and the link for that is in the show notes for this episode and every episode. You can also find that and all of our other information on sortofthestory.com. If you go to our Patreon, you can join us for one of 2 different tiers. For $3 a month, you get access to the Discord, which includes lots of fun stuff that we're always doing. We have a book club, other stuff. And also at the $7 tier, you can get a whole extra bonus episode every month. That's a full-length episode that you get for just 7 sweet little monies a month.
7 monies. Sometimes it's like 10 monies in your country, but
But talk to your lawmakers about that, because that's not on us.
We didn't do that.
Yeah, so join us on Patreon. Come do that. And we're going to do a bunch of fun stuff, and the Discord people will be the first ones to know about it. So get on in there.
We do have a lot of fun things planned. We have a lot of fun things coming up. And you get all of our regular episodes a day early on the Patreon, and that's kind of fun. You get to talk about them before anyone else.
Yeah, and you also get access to the backlog of bonus episodes. So there are a bunch of bonus episodes available only to our Patreon listeners, and you get those as soon as you join.
Yeah, and there are 6, and they're all very good. I genuinely love the bonus episodes.
Me too.
We do a Q&A at the end, and it's fun. You get to know us a little bit better, and we get to know you a little better based on what questions you're asking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you little freaks.
We're judging you.
You little freaks. Stop asking us about our feet.
I'm not going to tell you again.
That I have 9 toes on one of my feet.
I have 9 toes total.
Ooh. Yeah.
Wait, no.
Yeah. She's missing a toe.
No.
Okay.
I thought I was doing the crazy one, but you were doing the crazy one.
No, I was doing
got
the way crazier one, and you somehow undersold your side.
Ooh, that's not good.
So, yeah. Also, before we begin our actual stories, please go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast. Leave us a fun review, and we might read it on the episodes. So, yeah, that would make me very happy. Okay, Max.
Janey.
Do you want to start? Do you want to start?
Can we just fucking go?
It's been 20 minutes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, and you are going first, and I'm excited to hear it.
You bet your ass here.
All right, well, I'm going to fucking go. Goodbye.
Okay, Janey.
Okay, Max.
I'm going to tell you the truth.
Good. Finally.
I was going to tell you a story today. And I've been re-listening to one of my favorite podcasts, which you guys would all also love, called the Cryptid Keeper podcast. It is a podcast that has concluded, but every week they feature a different kind of cryptid. It's super fun. The hosts are really great, and they do a lot of really fun stuff. But I was just re-listening to a couple of episodes of their podcast, and I came across one. They mentioned the Brown Fairy book, and I was like, "Oh, that's like what we do."
And
so I was like,
that. Do I have the brown one? You have it. You definitely do have it.
I think I just got it. Yeah. And they mentioned a cryptid called the Bunyip, and I was going to tell you the story of the Bunyip. But I specifically cannot tell you the story of the Bunyip because it's about a giant seal.
Thank you so much. By the way, if you ever want to tell seal stories, I will get over it. I just will also have nightmares.
No, you...
Does it attack? Is it scary?
Yes.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. I can't do that.
Yeah, so I got through and I was like, oh, I can't do this to Janey. So I had to scramble at the last minute to try and find something else.
If we ever... Thank you so much. Genuinely, thank you. I keep getting people don't understand that there are people, that fear seals because they just fucking throw those out like they're normal to see in
they
videos.
Are, but
I don't like it.
I understand.
I don't know how to filter out no seals because it's people don't think to tag seal.
Content
or
warning.
Sea lion. Oh my god.
Content warning seal.
Yeah, except that they're usually just peppered into videos. It's bad. If we ever have a guest on, if one of us can't make it one week and we invite a guest to do it, you can tell it to that guest.
Except you'll edit the podcast and you'll have to hear it anyways.
We'll figure that out.
But anyways, so I'm not doing the story of the Bunyip today. I am doing a different story from the Brown Fairy book, though.
Okay.
And this story is called Kisa the Cat.
Kisa the cat.
Kisa the cat.
Give my little keys.
Yes, that's exactly how I hope that would go. This story is called Kisa the Cat. It is originally an Icelandic story. It is featured in Andrew Lang's The Brown Fairy book. It is originally from Neuslandischen Volksmärchen by Adeline Rittershaus. Adeline Rittershaus is one of the first women to earn her doctorate from the University of Zurich. And she is a German philologist, which is like a term that's no longer really in use, but it's basically English major, where it's like literary analysis, linguistics, etymology, like all of the kind of like general like classics study and everything, all that kind of rolled into one as a philologist. So she was a German philologist who was a specialist in Icelandic folklore, and she was the person who collected the story.
Okay.
Also, if anyone speaks German and really wants to do some folklore translation, I don't think her book, Neusländische Volksmärchen, has been translated into English, so that could be a good place to start.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Guys, and if you do that, please talk to us. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. So anyways, this is the story of Kisa the cat.
Kisa the cat.
I was going to do this at the end, but I want you to have an image in your mind as we're going into this.
Okay.
Kisa the cat is a cat.
Good.
She's a character in the story. She will come up. But just in advance of this story even beginning, I want you to have the correct picture in your mind. Okay. Now, I was reading this and I was picturing our cat, Fig. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of picture that as a baseline. But
Fig is like small, fluffy, has ear tufts.
Yeah.
Is beautiful, perfect.
Big puffy tail. Yeah. Rude, tiny feet.
Grinch-like.
Yeah.
She got Grinch feet.
So we have that frame of reference, but our listeners might not. So for you guys, we can post this on the Discord and the Instagram and everything, but just for right now, to hold you guys over, go ahead and Google Norwegian forest cats.
I've seen Norwegian forest cats.
Yes. That is specifically what Kisa the cat is.
Okay.
I'm just going to show you a couple.
She's like Fig, but big, right? Big Fig.
Yeah, basically. She's described as a cat that is gray with china blue eyes.
Yep, just Big Fig.
Big Fig. So just go ahead and look up a picture of a Norwegian forest cat and picture that as we go into this story.
They're so good.
They're really good.
I want to move to Norway so bad.
They're so puffy. So, there once was a beautiful queen, and she had a pet cat who was smoke gray with china blue eyes. This is not Kisa the cat. This cat was always by the queen's side. Like anywhere the queen went, her little cat went. There was a little cat bed in the queen's carriage so that they could sit next to each other whenever they went anywhere. And this cat was like the queen's closest friend, basically. And one day they were riding somewhere in the queen's carriage, and the queen turned to the cat and was like, I'm so jealous of you, because like you have like a little kitten that you can play with, and Aww. I don't have like a baby or a kitten. I guess I have your cat, but like you're a cat and that's your baby. Anyways, she's like, I'm so jealous because I don't have any babies to play with except for you. You're my baby and I play with you. And Kisa, and not Kisa. This is not Kisa.
Oh, okay. It's not Kisa.
Not Kisa. Okay. This cat is like, well, don't cry.
Huh?
Oh yeah, the cat talks. Sorry.
No.
Oh, sorry. Let me just... The cat says in a human voice.
Yeah, her talking to the cat like this makes sense to me. The cat talking back is not my experience.
It describes this cat puts her little paw on the queen's arm and says, Aww. Hey, don't cry. Listen, crying doesn't do anything, but I'll see if I can figure something out. Okay? You don't need to be sad.
I'll look up some fertility treatments for you.
This cat just like pats her and like uses one paw to like wipe a tear away.
And then brings out a calendar and is like, all right, let's track your ovulation, honey.
And a cat of her word. As soon as they get back to the palace, this cat packs up and she goes on a journey to find a fairy who is out in the forest. And she goes off, and months later, the queen becomes pregnant.
Huh.
With a little baby girl who she gives birth to, the princess. It doesn't mention this cat again.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think she sacrificed herself?
I do think.
God. No, it wasn't worth it.
No.
Gross.
But the queen gives birth to a beautiful baby girl. And this baby girl immediately, the kitten that this cat left behind, they are inseparable. Yeah. Like, this baby cries nonstop if she goes to bed and the cat's not there. Like, this little kitten has to be curled up next to her in her cradle, or she like cannot sleep. They just like walk in step everywhere. They are like stuck together. She's like her little shadow. This tiny little gray and blue, like gray kitten with blue eyes, just follows the princess around, and they're best friends.
This is the dream.
It is the dream.
Whose dream? I don't know. What context? Who knows? But it is a dream.
It is a dream, certainly. So Every night they put the kitten in the bed with the princess, and they both curl up and fall asleep.
Yeah.
But one night, the nurse comes in. The baby's a couple of months old at this point. The kitten is starting to turn into a cat. The nurse comes in to check on them, and she finds the baby asleep, and the kitten is gone. And immediately everyone acknowledges the severity of the situation. Like, this is basically like the princess's best friend. So they completely turn the castle upside down trying to find this cat. They like pull all the books out of the bookshelves in case the kitten got stuck behind a book or something like that. They like open all the drawers. It says that they even open like tiny little boxes and like spice jars that the kitten couldn't possibly have fit in, but they're like, we don't know where else she could be.
Cats are like water.
So they turn the castle upside down, and it becomes clear that the cat is not in the castle anymore. And the only thing that could have happened is that she ran away. And obviously the princess is devastated, but she's also a baby. And she gets over it because babies don't have a lot of
they really put a lot of importance onto the baby wanting this. And it sounds a lot like maybe everyone else was like, this is your familiar now.
Kind of. So this kitten has disappeared, and the princess grows up. Years pass. And the princess is now a young woman, and she's out in the garden one day playing with her ball, and she's just tossing it around, I guess, by herself. Her attendants are nearby, but they're not really paying attention. And she's tossing this little ball around, and she accidentally tosses it, and it rolls underneath of a rose bush out in the garden, which is further out than she usually goes. She goes and she chases down the ball, and she reaches into the bush and she grabs it, and she hears a voice say,
Hey, Georgie. Hi, Georgie. You playing with a ball?
Sorry to everyone.
Hiya, Georgie.
She hears a voice behind her go, Ingeborg? Ingeborg! Oh, my sister! Oh! The voice says, have you forgotten me? Have you forgotten your sister Kisa?
Kisa the cat!
Kisa the cat! And Ingeborg, the princess, turns around and she sees this like gray cat with bright blue eyes who looks like so happy to see her. And the princess, Ingeborg, is like, I don't have a sister. And Kisa's like, ow. When you were a baby, I used to sleep in your bed with you. We like grew up together.
Yeah.
And Ingeborg is like, if you're my sister, why did you leave? Like, why aren't you still in my house?
Yeah.
And before Kisa can answer, the princess's attendants find her, and they see her with this like slightly mangy cat. And they're like, get! And they shoo the cat away. Aww. And Kisa has to run. And the princess is furious, and she yells at her attendants, and she's like, leave that cat alone. She's my friend.
And possibly my biological sister.
Possibly
I actually
my biological sister.
I didn't get the full story. I guess different dads for sure.
Different dads for sure. But her
Mom, tell me the truth. Am I adopted? Just the full identity crisis that she's having now.
Did you cheat on Dad with a cat? You have to tell me. So Ingeborg goes back home to the palace, and she goes and finds her mother, and she's like, I just met this cat. And she said she's my sister, and that we used to sleep in the cradle together when I was a baby. Is this true? And her mom's like, that is true. Mm-hmm. There was a cat who would, you wouldn't sleep without her in your bed. Yeah. Her name was Kisa, and she disappeared. And the princess is like, oh, well, I saw her. And the queen is like, oh, well, if you see her again, bring her back to the castle. It wasn't like we kicked her out. She ran away, and we missed her.
The long-lost princess.
Yeah. So Ingeborg goes to bed.
Yeah.
And the next day, she hatches a plan.
Okay.
And it's a very, very hot summer day. And she tells her attendants that she wants to go play in the forest where it's nice and cool underneath the branches. And she brings all of her attendants out, and she plays in the forest. And as usual, they sort of get distracted. It's all just like a bunch of teenage girls who are hanging out in the woods.
They're all on their phones.
Yeah. It specifically says that they all sit down on a mossy riverbank and fall asleep. Which, same.
Bad babysitters.
Yeah. So Ingeborg is in the forest, and she waits until her attendants are fully distracted / asleep. Mm-hmm. And then she sneaks off, and she's like, I'm going to go find Kisa. Or, worst case scenario, fairies.
Yeah.
She keeps walking around trees and expecting to find little fairy rings and little brown fairies hopping around in the forest and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And she walks. But what she does run into is a massive giant who is coming out of a cave.
Uh-oh.
And she takes a couple steps back, and the giant's like, oh, okay, well, you're coming with me. And she's like, no. And he's like, no, you are. I'm so big. You can't fight me. You're coming with me. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
No.
And she's like, okay.
Oh.
So she just has to follow him because she realizes there is nothing that she can do. Like, he will kill her if she doesn't just follow him.
Yeah.
So this giant, very low effort kidnaps her. And she follows him through the forest. And she's feeling very sorry for herself. She's like, I shouldn't have left. I guess I wasn't prepared to be out in the forest on my own. Probably shouldn't have left my attendants. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Like, I think he's probably going to eat me.
Yeah.
And eventually she starts to get so tired, and she tries to suck it up, but like her feet are so sore. She's a princess. She's not used to walking around in the woods for hours on end.
Yeah.
And her feet are sore, and she's like, can we take a break? And he's like, no, we've got it. We're not taking a break until we get to my house. And she's like, okay. And she keeps walking, but her feet hurt so bad that she starts crying. And he's like, stop crying.
Oh, he's mean.
Yeah, he's really mean. And she's like, I'm trying, but my feet hurt really bad. And he's like, stop crying now.
Ugh. Poor thing.
Yeah. And she can't stop crying. And he says, I don't like girls who make horrid noises, but if you want to cry, I will give you something to cry for. And he turns around and he takes out an axe from his belt and he chops her feet off. Yeah.
This is really topical with the mouse glue trap discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You almost did that to a lizard.
Ew.
So he chops her feet off,
Yeah.
and he picks them up. He puts her feet into a little bag at his side, and he stomps away. And she's just left on the forest floor,
Oh, God.
bleeding from her leg stumps.
Fucking European fairy tales are just brutal.
Really just brutal. And she lays there and she cries and she screams, and she realizes that, like, there's nobody anywhere nearby.
I'm a little sick thinking about this. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm genuinely a little bit sick thinking about this.
Yeah, it's really
Go ahead.
upsetting.
We might have to put a trigger warning before this story.
Fair enough.
That kind of took my breath away. Go ahead.
She's just like lying there in the forest, like screaming from pain and like eventually becoming numb. And she realizes there's nobody. She's in the middle of the woods. Nobody knows where she is. Nobody maybe even knows that she's gone.
Yeah.
They're not going to find her. She's like, so I guess I'm just going to die here. Like, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So she kind of just like accepts that she is going to die and like lays there, and she doesn't know how much time passes, but she's just like, I guess I just wait to die.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. And she's laying there sort of like quietly crying. And then she hears the sound of wheels cracking over branches in the forest.
Oh, somebody's coming on their skateboard?
Yeah.
Stumble upon her?
Mm-hmm. Somebody's skateboarding through the forest.
That's cool.
It's classic Icelandic.
Skater boy.
Iceland. Oh, I'm...
Are you having a stroke?
Maybe. I think my brain record just skipped.
Iceland.
Icelandic. Icelandic forest skateboarders. Really hard to say, actually.
Very hard to hear.
Yeah. Yep. Bad for everyone. Immediately regret it. So she hears these wheels cracking over like branches and twigs in the forest and approaching. And she gathers up what's left of her energy, and she lets out one final like pained cry.
Yeah.
And she hears the wheel slow down and stop and then start rolling towards her at massive speed.
Yeah.
And she hears hooves, and then she watches this carriage like whip around a tree into the clearing where she is. And what she sees is a carriage with horses attached to the front of it, rolling through the forest, and driving the horses is Kisa, the cat. She has the reins in her paws, and she is using her big fluffy tail to like quote unquote whip the horses to make them go faster. And I spent a good 5 minutes today trying to picture this. I was like, how does that like work? And what I've decided is she has to be standing up, facing towards the back of the carriage, so that she can hit them with her tail. And also has to, like, I guess, have, like, the reins in one paw behind her. It's a very silly visual.
I like it.
But just picture, like, a big old bottle brush tail cat, like, being like, yeah!
Meow! I like it.
So Kisa rolls up in her carriage, and is like, oh my God, Ingeborg. And Ingeborg is like, I'm really hurt. And Kisa, so in this story, they describe Kisa as doing a lot of things with her paws.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Right? Because cats can't do a whole lot with their paws.
So you think she has a pair of human hands that she's stolen?
No.
Oh, okay.
It says in the story that Kisa takes her little paws and she picks Ingeborg up and she puts her on a bed of soft hay in the back of the carriage.
Yeah.
What seems far more likely to me is that Kisa grabs her with her mouth by the back of her shirt and pulls her into the carriage.
What I'm picturing is the illustrations of Beatrice Potter. How they have the little animals walking on two legs, wearing little dresses and pinafores, like acting like humans, but they are in fact little like bunnies and stuff.
I can see that. I prefer a cat.
You want her to just be full feral. She picks her up by the back of like the scruff of her neck and then just throws her.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I want.
All right.
So Kisa picks her up and puts her on a soft bed of hay in the back of the carriage. And she gets back up into the driver's seat and takes the reins and whips the horses with her tail and like brings the carriage around and drives off at top speed towards Kisa's little house.
Okay.
They get to Kisa's little hut in the forest and she brings Ingeborg inside.
Mm-hmm.
And inside there are all of these little cushions that are spread about in like a little fireplace and a little cabinet.
Cozy.
And Kisa quickly like takes all the cushions and piles them together into a little like makeshift bed.
Mm-hmm.
She brings Ingeborg in and lays her down in the bed. She gives her some milk. Which,
in a saucer.
in a saucer, which Ingeborg happily drinks because she's exhausted at this point.
Yeah.
So she gives her some warm milk in a dish, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And
in a
she
dead
goes,
mouse.
Oh.
Here you go. Oh, wait, you're eating. Why are you crying?
Aren't you hungry?
What's happening?
I brought you a present.
I got this for you.
And Kisa goes over to her little spice cabinet and she takes out some dried herbs and she boils them in water until they become like a poultice.
Yeah.
And she puts it on the little stumps at the bottom of Ingeborg's legs and wraps them up tightly and, to stop the bleeding. And Ingeborg feels like the pain fade away from those places.
Aw.
Just little healing herbs that the cat keeps in her little cabin.
Very nice.
Also, to reiterate, it is, I think that the easier thing is to picture like Beatrice Potter. Beatrix? Yeah. Potter? Beatrix?
I thought it was Beatrice.
I don't know. I think the easy thing is to picture like cats using their paws as hands. What I prefer though is that this is a cat with human sensibilities who like has little sachets of herbs that she like
It's Beatrix.
She puts like one paw in the opening of the satchel and like tugs on the drawstring with her little mouth and then like picks it up by the mouthful and puts it in the pot. Like,
Aww.
I think that that's good. I just think that that's good.
Yeah. It's pretty nice.
I had a nice time reading the story and picturing a cat doing all of these things. Especially because I was picturing big.
Yeah, it's just big.
It's just big. So Kisa gets Ingeborg all settled in the cabin. And she's like, all right, you need to get some rest. You're exhausted. I've got business to attend to. So I'm going to go out, but I'm going to lock. I got cat business. And she just goes and like farts in laundry.
She runs out with a chainsaw and takes that giant down.
Kind of.
Oh, shit!
So Kisa is like, I've got business to attend to. I'm going to leave you here. The door will be locked, so you're going to be safe. I'll be right back. Okay, just get some rest. And before she's even finished talking, Ingeborg is passed out on this pile of pillows.
Yeah. She had a big day.
Kisa goes out and she gets into her carriage and she sets her sights on the giant's cave.
Oh, fuck!
And she rides off towards the giant's cave with a vengeance in her heart and I assume a silver dagger by her side.
This is just John Wick.
It really is. It's a reverse John Wick. So she rides off until she finally gets to the giant's cave and she parks her little carriage a few forest blocks away so that they don't hear her coming. And
Leagues.
Yeah.
No, leagues are too big.
No.
Trees.
Like behind a couple of trees.
Yeah.
A couple of trees away. She goes to the entrance to the giant's cave and she like very stealthily hides near the entrance and she listens. And she hears inside the giant and his wife are having a conversation. And And the giant says, "The first day that I can spare, I shall just go back and kill her. It will never do for the people in the forest to know that a mere girl can defy me." So
he could have just picked her up. He's a giant.
he could have. I like to imagine this as him being like, God, I lost my temper and I'm sorry. I should have just brought her back here, but, you know, it's fine and I'll go back for her later. It's just, God, she just pissed me off. And the giant's wife is like, "She sounds like a real little piece of shit." And the giant's like, "Yeah, she is a little piece of shit." And so Kisa is just outside listening to the giants talk shit about Ingebjorg.
Yeah.
And as they are bullying this little girl and acting like it's Ingebjorg's fault that they are trying to eat her, Kisa sneaks in and she puts one paw through the window and she sees that there's a bag of salt next to the stew pot where the giants are preparing their dinner. And so she waits for the perfect moment and she tips the whole bag of salt into the stew pot.
Yeah.
And then she sneaks back
Ha
outside.
Take that, salty stew.
Yes.
I ruined your dinner.
Ah.
That'll teach you to cut off a child's foot and leave her for dead in the middle of the woods.
A fitting punishment.
Cat justice.
I'm gonna knock your shit over.
Exactly what she just did.
So she goes back to the entrance of the cave and she waits until the giants sit down to their dinner and they slurp their soup. And by the time they get to the bottom of their bowls, they're both like, "God, I'm really thirsty. Oh my God, I'm so thirsty. I've never been so thirsty in my life." And they're both kind of just like complaining to each other. And then they're like, "We have to go get water." And so the two giants rush out of their cave and down towards the river to quench their salty thirst.
Yeah.
And Kisa takes the opportunity and she sneaks into the giant's house and she looks in everywhere in all of the cabinets and like the dressers and everything until finally she finds Ingebjorg's feet.
Okay.
Still in their little silver slippers.
Oh.
They're hidden underneath a pile of grass, which Kisa immediately recognizes as magic grass.
Okay. She's gonna get some, like, get high.
Yeah, it's
good
catnip.
pain management for Ingebjorg, or a nice edible for Kisa.
Good job, Kisa.
You do deserve a treat.
Good for you, Kisa.
She rolls around in it for a while. Her eyes are completely blown out.
Yep, and then she grabs one of the feet and just like darts around the giant's house and knocks everything over, and then remembers to get the other foot, but she drops that foot, and then it's just like a...
And just rolling around again.
She got distracted. She's lost in the sauce.
It's fine.
So she picks up a little tuft of the grass and Ingebjorg's little silver-clad feet, and she leaves the giant's cave, and she gets back into her wagon, and she drives back home. Meanwhile, Ingebjorg has woken back up and has been waiting in her little bed, and every sound that she hears in the forest outside, she is terrified that it is the giant come to eat her.
Yeah.
Until finally she hears a key turn in the lock, and she's like, "Oh, Kisa, you're back!" Which also, how does a cat turn a key in a lock?
Because she's...
Just take a sec. Just let's 10 seconds. Just picture a little cat turning a key in a lock.
It's a Beatrix Potter cat.
No. Here's my thought.
Okay.
She wears the key on a little bungee cord around her neck.
Yeah.
She uses her mouth to put the key in the keyhole, and then she does that weird cat-like thing to turn it in the... So what she hears is the sound of a key going into a lock, and then just...
Okay. Yep. All right. Or she gets up on her hind legs. You know when cats put their paws on the wall and they do that cat stretch? That's what she's doing. Her paws are together and they're turning a key in the lock.
Yeah. Also good.
Yeah.
Also good.
But also, that's not what's happening. She's standing like a little person.
No.
She's wearing a tiny little dress.
No. I'll show you an illustration from this book, and they depict her as a regular cat.
Well, then I can't help you.
So Inga hears the key turn in the lock, and she's like, "Thank God, Kisa, you're home." Kisa comes in, and she's like, "Look what I found." And she produces two, I assume, very bloody little feet in their little silver slippers.
Ingebjorg won't stop screaming.
She brings them over to Ingebjorg, and she cleans off her legs, and she puts her feet back where they belong, and she says, "In 2 minutes, they shall be as tight as they ever were." And she puts her little feet back on her little legs, and she uses the magic grass to kind of like weave the feet back onto her legs to like hold them in place.
Yeah.
And she says, now it's going to be a while before you can walk again. Mm-hmm. Let's lower our expectations here. This is like magic grass, but it's not like magic grass. So it's going to be a while before you can walk again. But
also, I don't know the difference between left and right because I am a cat. But this looks right? And she's like, I don't know, I'm a child. Who knows?
I can't feel them. I'm not sure. Their shoes look right, I guess. So Kisa's like, you can't walk for a while, but in a week, if you're healing up, I can drive you in my little carriage back to the palace.
Yeah.
And so in a week, Inga is starting to feel a little bit better, and Kisa bundles her up into the carriage and drives her back to the palace.
Yeah.
I read a different story today about a cat who is friends with a person and like gets them into a position of power, basically like a Puss in Boots story.
Yeah.
And it described this cat approaching the castle and just like meowing outside of the castle gates to be let in, and then they would like come to the gates and be like, what? And she would be like, let me in.
That's Pepper.
And I like to imagine that that's also what Kisa does, where she just parks her carriage outside of the castle gates and she's just like, meow, 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 meow. Meow.
And they're inside like, good fucking Lord, I can't. There's nothing I hate more than the sounds of these cats meowing like that.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Both of them do it. Both the girls do it. Leaf meows, but it's usually not like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the guards come and they see that Inga, who has been missing for like a week and a half now, is outside of the gates, and her mother and father, the king and queen, rush down to the gates, and they bundle Inga up, and they're like, oh my god, thank god you saved her, and they promise Kisa any reward that she wants. And Kisa's like, well, we'll talk about it later. And then she turns her little carriage around and drives back into the forest.
Aww.
And Ingeborg is honestly heartbroken.
Yeah.
She's like, she saved my life and she didn't even say goodbye.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah, and she's like heartbroken. And she, she also has all of this recovery and everything to do for her feet. And she just becomes really depressed. And over the next weeks and months, she stops eating. She like won't leave her room.
Poor baby.
She becomes like very, very thin and sad. And her parents are like, we've tried everything to try and make her feel better.
What about therapy? She has a lot of PTSD. Her feet were chopped off by a giant. She had to come to terms with several realities.
She had to be washed by a cat.
That cat licked her wounds so much. Little sandpaper tongue. Ew. Okay, stop. This is going to drive people crazy. I have to cut that. Oh,
no,
gross.
It's good. No, it's good.
Ugh.
So Ingeborg in the castle is becoming more and more depressed, and her parents are like, what are we going to do to make her feel better? Like, she's going to die. She's going to starve herself if we can't make her feel better. And they think and they think and they think, what would make Ingeborg feel better? And they decide, getting married.
What? Huh? Huh?
So the king invites all the handsomest young men he can think of to the castle.
Isn't Ingeborg kind of little?
She's like a young adult, I guess.
Weird.
Yeah. But
I was picturing a 7-year-old this whole time.
I was also picturing a 7-year-old the whole time.
What in the Charles Dickens is this?
In the Charles goddamn Dickens. So her dad invites, it says in the story, I really like this line, that her dad invites all the handsomest young men he can think of.
Let's
just go through my handsome young man Rolodex.
Who's hot? Who's
calling
hot?
all hotties.
He is hot. Not him. He's got that weird thing. I don't want to talk about it.
And he tells his daughter Ingeborg to choose from them like her husband. And eventually she like meets all these hot boys and
swipe left. Dad, why is he in here?
He's a good guy.
He's got great bone structure.
We play squash together.
I owe his dad money. Okay, like that's the I have to put him in the Rolodex. Swipe left.
So Inga finally settles on a young man who is a very handsome young man. He has like really dark blue, deep eyes and golden hair. And,
all right.
Yeah, okay. And she decides that this is going to be her husband.
Okay.
Right. And her father is delighted because not only is this a lovely young man, but he's also the son of the king of a neighboring kingdom. So this is also a great political match.
So that does make it seem like he has a bunch of like regular Joes in that Rolodex as well.
Yeah. I appreciate that, where he's like, I don't care if this is a prince. whoever my daughter picks is good enough.
No, there's a stipulation. You gotta be hot.
Yeah.
He's like, we're shallow in this family. You can come to us poor. You can be a murderer. You can be anything you want to be, just not Uggos.
No Uggos need apply.
No Uggos need apply.
I do like
calling all hotties.
I know that this is like a very low bar, but I do appreciate that he's not like, all right, she's got to marry a prince and I've got to approve. He's like, I'm just going to bring all the hot boys to her yard and she can pick and like whatever makes her happy is fine.
My dad never did anything like this for me.
Why did my dad ever invite over all the hottest teens he knows for me to choose a husband from? That's even the point of having a dad.
Pretend to love me, you know?
So she chooses a husband and they are married.
Okay.
And the feast following their wedding, Kisa shows up.
Oh, good.
And Ingeborg is thrilled and she like gets up from her table from her seat at the top of the table.
She's standing on the table. No, showing off her new feet.
She's got a Cocopelli tattoo on her ankle to cover up the surgery scar.
One. Oh, but the Cocopelli tattoo is holding the scar like it's holding like a rope.
It's nice. Good. Great. Mm-hmm. Kisa arrives and Ingeborg immediately like jumps up from her chair and she runs over to Kisa and throws her arms around her and she's like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. I didn't think I was going to see you again. And Kisa's like, yeah, I'm back here for the reward for
Kisa.
Yeah, Kisa's really fucking cold.
What the hell?
And Ingeborg is like, is that all? And Kisa's like, yeah. So what I need is you have to let me sleep at the foot of your bed tonight. And Ingeborg is like, I mean, sure, but like, I guess if that's all you want, sure, fine. So that night, Kisa sleeps at the foot of Ingeborg's bed, which is also her wedding night. And I'm like, pretty weird. A little bit weird. Mm-hmm. And the next morning, when all three of them wake up from their fun sleepover, mm-hmm. Sitting at the end of the bed is not a little gray cat with bright blue eyes, but a beautiful princess.
Nice.
And this is the Princess Kisa. And she explains to Ingeborg that she and her mother, the cat, mm-hmm. were placed under a curse by a wicked fairy.
Oh.
And the curse was that they had to stay cats until they performed an act of service for someone that had never been performed before.
So, like, the mom tried to do that by getting the queen pregnant.
Yes. This curse doesn't really make sense. I think in order to justify this, I think it has to be, like, because the curse doesn't mention anything about, like, sleeping at the foot of her bed or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think what it has to be is, like, you have to perform a good deed and then, like, be welcomed back into their home after or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think what it was is that Kisa's mom went to the fairy and, like, helped Ingeborg's mom, the queen, get pregnant, but, like, the price was, like, herself. Life. So, like, even though she was able to perform this great task, she wasn't able to complete the breaking of the curse. Mm-hmm. But Kisa says that her mom died before she was ever able to find, like, a unique deed to perform. Mm-hmm. But Kisa, in retrieving feet from a giant and then putting them back on.
Yeah, no one's ever done that before.
No one's ever done that. So,
do you think she was doing a bunch of weird shit along the way to really ensure?
100%.
She was like, first I have to get 2 mice married. And then I'm going to sneak into the giant's house. I'm going to get super high.
Yeah, she had to be doing weird stuff at a certain point.
She's like, I'm going to strip off all of my clothes. I'm going to dance naked real quick in front of, like, their wedding pictures.
It does specifically have to be a helpful deed where you help someone else.
Oh.
But I do appreciate it.
Just to solidify, I would be doing a bunch of weird shit that I could guarantee no one else had ever done.
Yeah. She would be, like, helping a worm. She would, like, pick up a worm, put it on an apple so that the worm can eat an apple, and then find a bird, pick up the bird, put it on the apple also so that the bird can eat the worm. Mm-hmm. And then she would be, like, donating $10 to charity. She's like, nobody's ever done that string of things before.
Because why would they?
But this is a truly unique good act, and Kisa is transformed back into a girl, mm-hmm. and she lives the rest of her life as a princess and Ingeborg's sister. The end.
That was lovely.
Wasn't it a nice one?
It was. I I'm going on to swordofthestory.com to find the story I'm thinking of. But this is a trope that we have done before of the animal that has been cursed to be an animal sleeping at the foot of somebody's bed on their wedding night is part of a curse thing. And I've told a story before with that exact thing.
Yes.
Do you remember what story it was?
It wasn't the Lindworm. It wasn't Hans the Hedgehog, but it is in the same kind of vein.
It is. It's a European story. Okay, we'll find it another time. It's okay.
First, I want to show you this illustration of Kisa the cat carrying Ingebjorg's feet from the giant's cave. Just take a minute and really soak that one in.
Yeah, there's no way that he could whip that horse because his tail is too short. Oh, it's a cat on a little, like, rickshaw, like, thing. Not like a full carriage. Like a rickshaw pulled by one horse. And next to the cat on the, like, passenger seat, it's just 2 feet nicely placed. I like that the cat didn't go and... What I thought was going to happen when the giants when the giants went to the river, we've also told a story.
Yes.
Where there were trolls in the cave. And they were tricked into... It's the same story with the dog. That's the exact same story. I have to find the story. That's from the same story. In the same story with the dog, the cat... Or the giants... The trolls are in their cave. They are tricked into eating very salty food. They get thirsty, and one by one, they go to the river to gather water. And
this was from your Swedish folk and fairy tales collection by John Bauer.
No, it was not, because it was not illustrated by John Bauer. It was illustrated by H.J. Ford, but it might be a Swedish story. This is gonna drive me crazy.
Oh, I'm confusing it with the Tom Tease one.
Yeah.
But I do know what you're talking about. This did feel familiar as I was reading it.
Yes. So they went to, they were tricked into eating very salty soup. They went down to the river, and then one by one, they were pushed into the river and drowned. And so I thought the cat was going to go and drown them. Mm-hmm. And instead the cat was like, no, I have a mission. I have to get the feet.
Gotta go get them feet.
Give me those feet, girl!
Just a couple things about this, though. This is an Icelandic story.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's cats, I think, is very cool.
That is cool.
Because, I don't know if you know this, in Norse myth, the goddess Freya rides around on a chariot pulled by giant forest cats. And that's 100% what I'm picturing for Kisa and her mom.
That's probably exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. It feels like it's a descendant of, like, that kind of story of, like, the queen and her, like, loyal warrior cats.
Kisa the cat. Kisa the cat. I loved it. I'm going to go find what that story that I told before was that has the same things. And I think that if we start tracking down, like, Scandinavian tropes, I have a feeling we will find the explanation to why she had to sleep at the foot of his bed. Because that's come up before.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
And I feel like Scandinavian people know the answer to that. Stop hiding shit from us. Tell us your secrets. All right. Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
All right. So first of all, your story, the one that I was trying to remember, your story reminded me of my story that I did on episode 74, which is Prince Ring, which is an Icelandic story, just like this one. So it makes sense that there's a lot of repeating tropes. Mm-hmm. That episode is called I, because you did 1 eye, 2 eye, and 3 eye. Mm-hmm. I, Daddy Snatty, and Snatty Light. I remember the dog's name was Snatty.
Yes, absolutely.
But that is a story where a talking dog helps Prince Ring complete a bunch of tasks and eventually gets to Prince Ring's wedding night and is like, hey, you can pay me back for all these things I helped you do by letting me sleep at the foot of your bed on your wedding night. And then he does, and he wakes up and he's a handsome prince, and he tells a story about how he was cursed. And also that's the same story where he poured a bunch of salt into Troll's soup and then helped him push them all into the river. Like, it's
very similar.
Very similar, but with very different protagonists, like girl protagonists instead of boy protagonists. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of cool.
I'm into that.
Yeah. But also I think just from the sheer fact that there are less... What gets me is the fact that there are girls in your story means that she doesn't inflict any violence, but she has violence inflicted on her. And Prince Ring, it's the opposite, where they are like killing trolls and they are fighting like bulls, and they're you know, it just seems like there's a bit of a very upsetting double standard where women are brutalized in tales and men are the brutalizers. But that's a different...
The brutalizer.
The brutalizers. Anyway, go listen to episode 74, I, Daddy Snatty and Snatty Light. Yeah. It's a good one. I like it. Okay. And if you ever want to find stories that we told on this podcast, you can by going to sortofthestory.com. I have all of them listed, and they are all organized in different ways to help make it easier for you to find them. Okay.
Yeah.
So the story I'm going to tell you today is from Folk Tales of Egypt, which I have used before on this podcast. It was edited and translated by Hassan M. Al-Shami. And I like Hassan M. Al-Shami a lot, and I'm going to talk about that a bit up at the end. But I'm just going to jump into the story for now. The story is called It Serves Me Right.
Yeah, it does.
The story starts off with this, quote, "Once there was a man who was sick and tired of his life," end quote. He was walking down a road one day when he found a side track, right? And he was like, oh, a little side path? Like, where does this go? And he followed it off the main road into unknown territory. Eventually, this little road leads him to a cave, and he sees that there are 9 people gathered inside this cave, and they are running around, slapping their own faces and crying, "It serves me right! Ah, it serves me right!"
What a weird situation he's just walked into.
What a strange cave. It is a strange cave.
Feels like a weird sex thing, kind of.
Yeah,
Feels like he just wandered into a weird masochism orgy.
Yeah, they're all like, "I'm a worm!
Step on me!
I deserve it!" So not understanding why they were doing this, but apparently thinking this looks kind of cathartic, he's like, "It serves me right. Ah, slap, slap, it serves me right." And he just joins them.
Hope this doesn't awaken anything.
This isn't bad. So he just like hunkers down in the horde and starts crying, "It serves me right, it serves me right," over and over again. Eventually, though, it hits noon and they all stop and like a little lunch bell rings. And they're all like, "Time for lunch." And they all start like casually like doing water cooler chit chat as mystical beings arrive and give them 9 loaves of bread. One for each crying person in the cave.
Oh, I was picturing way more people.
There's only 9 of them, but now 10 because this random man just jumped in and started doing this with them for free.
For free.
So the new man, quote, snatched a loaf for himself when they arrived. He just fucking showed up and took their lunch. And so they all get their lunch, but one of them, of course, doesn't have one. And he's like, "What the hell?" So they all start looking around like, "Wait a minute. There are 9 of us. There's 9 loaves of bread. What? You, who are you? You are new." And he's like, "Oh, no one brought me here. I just saw you guys hanging out and I thought it looked kind of fun." No? And he's like, I was thinking about this. I have never read about anyone more susceptible to peer pressure in my life.
He's just like, "What are you guys doing? Looks fun. I work here now."
And now I'm here.
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack. I'm your coworker. It serves me right. So they immediately were like, "Hey, this isn't your place. You don't get to just be here.
You
What?
you don't get to come in here and beat the shit out of yourself. How dare you?
You have to go to a whole interview process."
We are uniquely qualified for this job. You can just walk in here and start doing our job.
Yeah. So they pick him up by his hands and his feet and they toss him into a well.
Oh, okay.
And they say, "Your place is down there."
Well, well, well.
And he travels down, 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 and clunk, he lands in a town that he has never been to before, at the bottom of this well.
He's never been to bottom of the well town?
No. Bottom of the Wellville. So now he's like a stranger in a new town. He has no place to go, and so he wanders around for a while until it's sunset, which is prayer time, right? This is Islamic, I believe. And so he's like, "Well, it's prayer time and I don't know where to go." So he finds a mosque and he goes inside and he says his late evening prayers. And then he tucks himself into a corner. And because he's a stranger and the mosque keeper sees him and is like, "I've never seen him before. He probably has nowhere to go." He lets him stay. The next morning, he got up, he said his morning prayers, he walked around the strange town again, came back in the evening, said his prayers, stayed again. So eventually the mosque keeper is like, all right, he keeps coming back, so I better talk to him. What's up, dude? So he asks the man, where are you from? And the man's like, oh, I'm from Cairo. And then he tells him his whole story. He's like, yeah, I was just walking. I found 9 men saying it serves me right. I was like, that looks like fun. They were like, you can't sit with us. And then they threw me in this well. He actually says, like, I was feeling really depressed and I was wandering and I found those men. So, like, he does mention, like, depression and stuff as well. So the mosque keeper is like, listen, it's really easy to survive in this place. You're not going to have a hard time. I'm going to give you, like, I'm going to let you know the secret to surviving here. People who live here pay for everything on account, which means they paid with prayers upon the prophet. And then it says, i.e. blessings earned. Right? So this is their form of currency. So he says, you can go to any restaurant, and when they ask you to pay the bill, all you have to do is say, add it to my account, and then you pray to the prophet. And the owners will let you go, and they'll never ask for any money. So the man is, like, super skeptical. He's like, no, that's not how anything works. But he decides to try it out. He's nervous at first, of course, and he's like, I'm not going to go to, like, a really nice restaurant, because at this time, especially, like, in Cairo, people who couldn't pay their bill were beaten by the store owners, a lot. And he's like, it'd probably be, like, better to go to, like, a really run-down, cheap place where the beating would probably be, like, light, because I wouldn't be running out on a large bill. I don't know. So he goes to this little falafel place, right? And he orders fool, which is faba beans, and falafel. And when the owner is like, hey, you have to pay your bill, he's like, on the account. Prayers upon the prophet. Yeah? And the guy's like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, no, you've been good company. Thank you. And it says, you have been good company and have honored us. And the man is allowed to leave. And he's like, what the fuck? That just worked? What? It's amazing. So that evening, he gets a little bit bolder, and he goes to a good restaurant. And he, quote, ate pigeons and everything a soul could desire, and also dessert. End quote.
Pigeons.
Everything your soul can desire.
And also everything your soul could desire, and also dessert.
The pigeons, I think, were penance? I don't know.
And the dessert also?
Yeah. When he got up to leave, they were like, the bill? And he was like, on the account? And they were like, oh, okay, well, thank you and have a good day. And he's like, thank you and have a good day. He goes and he prays. About a week goes by, and he's well fed, but his clothes are filthy. He was recently thrown down a well. And so he tells the mosque keeper, he's like, I need new clothes. And the mosque keeper is like, same system works in all the stores. You just go in there, you say, on my account. And so he goes to a nice clothing store, and he gets brand new clothes, coats, turbans, shoes, and he's like, everything that he gets, he's like, put it on my account. And they're like, oh, yes, sir, thank you. And he pays with prayers. Now, the man next decides to skip a few steps on his self-improvement journey. And he's like, I want a wife.
I've got clothes.
And a full belly.
And dinner. That's all you need. Now I'm ready for a wife.
Now I'm ready for that responsibility. So he goes to the mosque keeper and he asks, like, how does it work? How do you get a wife? And the mosque keeper is like, okay, so what you're going to do is just outside of the city, you're going to see a bunch of tents. Some are green, some are white.
You're going to grab a woman, drag her away, and if anyone tries to stop you, just say, put it on my account.
That's basically. So he's like, but you have to know, there are green tents, there are white tents. The green tents are only for the wealthy class, and the white tents are for commoners. And you are not wealthy class, so you have to go to the commoners' tents, okay? Make sure you go to the white tents. And he's like, in the tents, there will be beautiful women. And the way they describe that women are beautiful is they say, glory be to the creator for his creation. And that means like, ooh, she's hot. And he's like, and all these beautiful women, glory be to the creator for his creation, would be holding water jars. Whoever he liked best, he would just go up to her, take her jar, drink from it, and then they would be married. And that's it. He would also have to pay her dowry, which is prayers.
Okay.
Yeah. So immediately he runs out of the town. He's like, I gotta go.
I gotta go to Wife City.
WifeMart. Searching for a wife. And he sees all these tents. However, when he sees the green and white tents, he's like, I'm not gonna go to a commoner's tent. I'm going to the green ones. And he immediately runs to the green tents where he's not supposed to go. He sees beautiful women and he immediately like picks one. He's like, you'll do. And he grabs her jug and he starts just chugging from it.
Ooh, grabs her by the jugs.
Grabs her by the jugs. When he turns to leave, she's like, what? He's like, thank you. And then he goes to leave. And she says, no, now you can't. Now you have become my husband according to God's creed and his prophets. You have to come with us so that we can sign the marriage contract. You we're told the rules, yes? Like, you don't just leave. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess we can sign a contract, I guess. And I'm like, you just went there for water? So he goes, he signs the contract. It just so happens that this girl that he chose is the daughter of a sultan. So they go to her father's house. So they sign the contracts. He pays the dowry, which is many thousands of prayers upon the prophet. And they move in together. And they were, quote, 24 carats happy.
That's a lot of carrots.
That's so many carrots.
Delicious.
But one day, he was bored in his house, right? He's like, I've been here, like, for a while. I think I want to go for a walk around town. And she's like, oh, yeah, sure. But I need you to be careful. She's like, listen really carefully. This town is easy to survive in, but it has one very strict condition. Anything that you see happening out on the road, do not ask any questions about it. All you have to do is just see it happen and then move on. All right? No questions. Don't say, like, why are you doing that? Or like, what's happening here? Don't say like, wouldn't it be better if, like, just don't say anything. Just move on. It's none of your business. Got it? And he's like, oh yeah, will do. And then he goes to leave and she's like, no, that wasn't good enough. I'm going to explain why, okay? Because she's reasonable and smart and she knows that he's just going to fucking ignore her anyway. So she says, if you ask questions, just so you know, you will be divorcing me. That's the rules. And then it is Islamic law that a man can divorce his wife and remarry her twice, but the third divorce will be final. That's like a law in Islam. And so she's like, if you do it 3 times, then you will be divorced from me forever and you'll have to leave. Like, just don't ask any questions. Got it? And he's like, yeah, will do.
It's wild that there's a strike system for divorce.
I know. So he walks around outside for a bit. He's enjoying, like, this town is beautiful. And as he's walking, he decided to rest under a sycamore tree. And he looked up when the tree kind of started shaking a bit. And he's like, what is going on? And he looks up and he sees that there's somebody that has climbed up on the tree and is feeling the fruit on the tree. Go ahead, Max. What just went through your mind?
You just have on a tree just masturbating. He's like, why? Yeah. And they're like, that's one.
Gotcha, motherfucker. I'm coming for your wife. So, no, the guy's up there just feeling some fruit. Nothing
not weird.
Some of the fruit was ripe and some of it was very obviously not ripe. But the man that's, the stranger, he doesn't have a name, so it gets kind of confused. The man is looking at him and he's like, what the hell? Because the person up there feeling the fruit is eating some of the ripe fruit, but then every once in a while he'll just pop one of the unripe fruits in his mouth as well, and he's leaving a lot of the ripe fruit on the tree. And so the man is like, what's happening? You clearly know the difference. What are you doing? And so he says, without thinking, he's like, hey, you up there, why are you eating the unripe fruit? There are ripe ones right there. You're gonna have diarrhea. Gross.
This is a good lesson for men. Mind your business.
Yes. So the other man says, quote, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
And at which point the man slaps his forehead and says, no, because he remembers what his wife said.
Right.
So he runs back home. And when he gets there, she's waiting for him on the doorstep. And she's like, don't come near me. You just divorced me. Like, I told you clearly you didn't obey my instructions. And so you've sworn the first divorce oath and you're not allowed in my chamber. So get out. And he's like, please take me back. Please, 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 please. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. And she says, okay, fine. We'll get the divorce revoked, I guess. So they call the sheikh and they have it overturned. He stays inside for a while after this. He's a little bit like, oh, that was really serious. Odd. But after a while, he gets bored eventually. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go out again. And she's like, okay, but remember the condition of the town. And he's like, I'll remember. I wouldn't make the same mistake twice. And she's like, you definitely would. And he's like, I'll be fine. And she's like, okay, but like, just so you know, you only get 3 strikes. And he's like, okay. 2 strikes, I guess.
I would tell him that he gets 2 strikes.
Yeah, right? Well, so he starts walking. Eventually, he got to this big river where a young man was walking with 2 water buckets at the ends of a cane, and it was slung across his shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
And over again, he watched this young man walk to the river, fill up his buckets, and then go back to the bank, and he'd pour the water there. I guess he had like a vessel to pour them in, right? And he's gathering a lot of water, and he was always going back for more. Meanwhile, right next to him, there's this very old, withered man, and he has his own buckets. But unfortunately for this old man, his buckets are full of holes. So he'll hobble into the river, he'll fill it with water, but by the time he gets onto the bank, all the water has seeped out of the buckets, and so he's not pouring any onto the shore. And then he'll go back. And so after watching this for a while, this man starts to feel bad for the old man. He's like, what the hell is this young guy doing? He's just like really not helping this old man at all. So he says like, hey, why are you just letting this old man struggle? Give him some of your water, you idiot. Like, come on. At which point the old man snaps at him, this is none of your business. And he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. And he realizes what he just did. He just questioned the two men. So he runs back home, and his wife is like, the second divorce oath has been sworn. Don't come near me. It'll shame me. You can't be here. And he's like, please give me another chance. Please, I'm sorry. And eventually she consents to get the divorce revoked again. But she's like, this is the last time we can do this. You need to mind your own business.
Yeah.
In this town that has rules.
Simply mind your fucking business. It is so simple.
It's simple. So eventually, he's like, I want to go out again. It's been like, you know, he has to leave his house eventually, and he hasn't been. And he's like, and I also thought, I was like, he would not have done well in quarantine.
No.
He wouldn't have survived this pandemic. And she reminds him that according to religious law, if he fucks up again, he's not going to be able to come back. Okay. And he's like, okay, I understand. I promise I won't fuck up again. And she's like, oh, God. And so he goes out for a walk. So he, you know, walks past that sycamore tree. He walks past the two men gathering water, and he's like, nope, I don't care, and I have no questions. But eventually he sees that on this river, there's a big ship out in the middle of the water. And there are people lined up on the eastern bank, and there are some more people lined up on the western bank on either side of this ship. And each group has a rope tied to the ship, and they're each pulling at the rope to the, you know, towards their side. So they're trying to get the ship to be on the shore.
They're like tug of warring over the ship?
Basically, but they both have the same goal. So the guy's like, what the hell? And so he watches it for a little bit, and he gets upset and he yells out, guys, one of you just needs to let go. Just this side let go, and then it'll go to the other side, and then you guys can walk around. Hello? At which point the people all yell over their shoulders, it's none of your business! And he's like, shit.
He didn't ask a question that time.
He didn't. It still didn't work. He can't question the society.
Damn.
So he ran back home, and his wife met him at the door. And she's like, you can't enter. It's sinful. You have to go away forever. There are there are no more chances after this.
There's no fourth chances.
There's no fourth chances.
Idiot.
Yeah, right? And so he's like, okay, fine, I'll go. And then he's like, before I go, can you please explain the things that I saw? Like, I have to know. And she's like, okay, there's nothing left to lose now, so I will. So this is the explanation, okay? Do you have any guesses before I give you this?
The man eating the unripe fruit had just had poison, and he was trying to make himself shit the poison out.
Got it.
The two people, the water, the old man was just trying to keep the bucket wet.
Got it.
And the people in the ships didn't have an anchor, but they wanted the ship to stay in place.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine guesses.
Thank you.
This is her explanation. The man eating the ripe and unripe fruit was eating from the tree of lifespans. It is natural for fruit to grow ripe, to shrivel up, and drop to the ground, just as it is natural for people to die from old age. However, death does not discriminate based on age. It takes everyone, young and old, seemingly at random. So that's what he was doing up there. He was eating some of the ripe ones that you're supposed to eat, and he was also taking some of the unripe ones, right? Mm-hmm. The young and old man at the river with the water buckets represented predestination. Some people are just born rich and privileged, and some are not. We cannot control what comes to us. Everything is exactly as God wills it. Mm-hmm. And the ship represented the world. People pull it towards them, trying to get it on their own side. And it may, quote, smile at each one for a while, end quote. But nobody gets a hold of it. And then it says, quote, now she got a hold of him and threw him. THRE-E-EW.
Oh.
She got a hold of him and threw him.
Into the sea.
Nope. He landed in the cave with the men slapping their faces and crying, it serves me right! And he became the 10th. And the next time those mystical beings brought them loaves of bread, there were 10 loaves for everyone who belonged there. The end.
He gets to go to idiot jail. For dumb boys who don't listen.
Okay, so what do you think? I want to have a discussion about these lessons. Did you notice any themes that stood out?
On the one hand, I do appreciate the lesson of, hey, men, mind your business, and
Yes.
maybe these people know what they're doing and you don't need to worry about
And
it.
you're a stranger in this town. You don't need to come in and start questioning their system.
Yes. That, on the surface, I really like.
Yeah.
The idea, though, of, like, predestination and, like, some people are just born rich and some people are born poor and don't question it, that I don't agree with.
Yeah, that's the main thing that stood out to me as well.
Yeah, I'm not happy that the people were metaphors. I wanted them to have real logical reasons to be doing what they were doing.
Yeah, this is under the group of tales, because, you know, these tales are always sectioned out, you know, depending on, like, the lessons and stuff. So this is under realistic and philosophical tales. Okay, so there's a philosophy behind them. They are meant to they're meant to teach people.
They're meant to be teachered.
They're meant to be teachered. And so am I. Okay, so here's some notes. According to Hassan M. El-Shami, this story was recorded in March 1969 from S. Salaman, who was 55 and was a businessman from Cairo. These are extremely well documented, who told which story and in what context, which I really love. Salaman would tell this story to his children to illustrate that, quote, every person has his lot in life coming to him, and that, quote, greed and interference in what has been forbidden brings nothing but sorrow, end quote. So this is another thing of, like, we don't want to we believe that we don't want to raise complacent adults. We don't want people to just take what's given to them and then never question it. But the moral of this story is stop questioning things, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard because he's not a likable character. He really doesn't earn anything. He goes and just gets a wife. There's, like, a lot of themes here that make him a very unlikable character today.
It's also interesting that the story starts with him going in, seeing a bunch of people hitting themselves in the face, and he doesn't ask questions. He's just like, oh, this is how it is. And then as soon as he gets down the well,
and is given...
he's like, actually?
Well, the second he doesn't have to work for things, I guess.
Yeah.
He's like, let me... I don't know, try to change
It's weird.
things. Yeah.
I also kept thinking there was going to be a twist at the end of, like, oh, like, all of his prayer debt was going to, like, get him sent to hell or something like that.
Yeah, right? It doesn't. It's just so, according to El-Shami, this story is very prevalent throughout Egypt, or at least it was. I'm not sure what it's like now. This book was published in 1980, and a lot of these stories are from, like, the early 1900s. Like, they've been collected over a long time. He heard it firsthand from other people other than Salaman. He's heard this exact same tale or, like, references to the story from people all over Egypt. He would talk about men in their villages, like their real villages. They were like, when I was growing up, there was this man who would go around hitting his chest with large stones and screaming in the street, it serves me right, it serves me right. And, like, that was a story that, like, lots of people have from growing up, of people in their villages who would run around saying, it serves me right, it serves me right.
Like a weird, like, self-flagellation kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly like that. But there's an actual, like, Egyptian folktale that talks about this, and it's all connected to, like, Islam and, like, religious moral teachings and stuff like that. So these are, like, real things in the world. El-Shami says, quote, these occurrences of emotional disturbance demonstrate that this story, like numerous other aspects of folk culture, sets a pattern for behavior which includes mental and emotional disorder. So we also have a huge theme of depression in this story, and a man who was feeling, you know, sick and tired of his life and didn't know where he was going. And then he starts questioning his religion and all this stuff. Like, there's, like, a lot of stuff going on. Things that I had a hard time with the story. I liked the story. I'm not gonna lie. I liked it. I thought it was kind of funny, but also it's like he goes and just gets a wife, and he goes outside of his class system to do it. Like, there's
no consequence for that, and, like,
nothing. And it's just that he goes and asks, what's up with these ridiculous things that are happening? These things that, like, should be self-explanatory. Like, you don't eat unripe fruit, you know, like, or you don't carry a water bucket full of holes in. And that's what he gets punished for.
Counterpoint, don't go in a cave and start hitting yourself just because you see other people doing it.
That's too logical. El-Shami includes a lot of stories that are explained in the tales as being supernatural events. So in this book, which is pretty great because it's very true to, like, these are firsthand collected folk tales from around Egypt, because he was afraid that Egyptian folk lore was dying out and he wanted to collect them, right? And so he stays very true to how people told the story. He translates them into English himself, but he stays very true to how they told the story. But he always includes explanations beforehand of the context of how they were telling them, who they were telling them to. So like Solomon was using these to teach his children about these lessons that he firmly believed in, right? Which is like predestination and not questioning God. But El-Shami looks at these from a more modern lens, like a 1980 lens, where he's like, this doesn't fly today, you know, in the 1980s. And in 2023, some of these things really don't. So he includes a lot of stories that are like, this supernatural thing happened, but today they would be considered psychological events in somebody's life, right? Like they need therapy, they need medication, they need something because clearly they're going through something. But in Egypt, around this time, they're still using a lot of like folkloric explanations for why people are acting a certain way. So there's another one that I wanted to talk about that kind of reminded me of this a little. It was called The Possessed Husband and His Czar. And it's under a heading, one of the story collections is called Local Belief Legends and Personal Memories. And basically, they don't fall under folk tale or urban legends, but they have elements of both. They are people's personal accounts that include folkloric details and almost urban legends, but they're not like widespread like an urban legend is. So, in The Possessed Husband and His Czar, there is a story of a man who is cursed by a jinn, and the story is told by his wife. So about 15 years after he died, his wife told this story to El-Shami. And she says, yeah, my husband had been cursed by a jinn. They actually said jinni, which I think is the female jinn. I'm not sure, though.
I think that it's just a different regional term.
No, they use both. But when they talk about how it's a female jinn, they say jinni.
Huh.
They seem to differentiate, but I could be wrong. But they said that this female jinn basically was like, had attached herself to him and was possessing him, and she would force him to dress how she likes, which means in women's clothing and women's jewelry and with makeup and stuff, and that she would force him to dance at night until he was exhausted, and then he would get really depressed and he would lock himself in his room for like months at a time. And she was like, yeah, and then he didn't want to spend any time with me, and we had children, and then he wanted to get a second wife, but like of course the jinn was like, no, you can't have a second wife, and because she didn't want him to have any more love, she was very jealous. And yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's just someone experiencing like gender and sexual dysphoria.
That's exactly right. Possibly just like a trans woman who is stuck in a system.
Yeah.
You know, like just so in this tale, which again is a real story, the husband is given exorcisms called czar. And this is still a pretty common thing in Egypt. Not common, because now it's becoming more of like a performative thing that they're keeping the traditions alive, but I don't know. It's very strange. It's still happening, but it doesn't seem to be as prevalent, and it's discouraged from the religious standpoint. They say like these are not allowed, except that jinn are mentioned in the Quran and stuff like that. Like these things are all mentioned in the Quran, but they're like, no, we don't do this anymore.
Sort of like a Catholic exorcism.
Except that Catholic exorcisms are done. They have a whole department for it.
Yeah, but they say like,
yeah,
you know,
yes,
don't
exactly.
do it.
So he's given these exorcisms, they're called czar, every couple of months just to like keep him docile and to keep the jinn off his back. And apparently this person welcomed them and liked them and was like, they're actually helping me. And they will just do them every couple months because he would go back into like extreme depressions. So these exorcisms in this story, they're very close, of course, to what we now know as like conversion therapy that are happening to LGBTQ plus people all around the world. And El-Shami acknowledges in his notes that today this person's obvious mental health crisis would hopefully be treated in hospitals, right? Like the depression and the mood swings and all this stuff. And as for the transgender aspect, unfortunately, of course, this is still highly stigmatized. And like I said, this book was published in 1980. He doesn't make a note on that. He just says, like, to top it off, this person's also, he says transvestite because that was the term that was used back in the 80s.
There's a very clear and distinct difference between someone who is interested in dressing in a gender nonconforming or like a quote-unquote cross-dressing way versus someone who is trans. There is a very distinct line there.
Yeah. Well, he
so
uses
this could be
the word
either.
specifically, like transvestite. Like just that on top of this obviously made it, people were like way more like, yeah, he's possessed. Like we need to help him get rid of this evil djinn that's possessing him and making him do these really weird things.
Yeah, it is villainizing this in a way where it's like, it's not being like, you know, oh, this is something that someone wants to do. It's like, oh, the only reason someone would want to do this is if they're possessed. And like, we have to defeat the demon so we can have the person back again, which very much feels like conversion therapy.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So these things still happen to trans people all around the world today, including in the US. So I was trying to look up, like, what is it like for trans people in Egypt today, like after reading that story? And according to Human Rights Watch, LGBTQIA people are often unsafe living in Egypt. And according to intrepidtravel.com, which is a small group travel and adventure company that's like, yeah, come on this thing. They have a whole section on Egypt that's like, it's not a safe place for anybody who's openly gay or lesbian or queer or trans. Like, just sorry, but it's just not. Like, you have to know the dangers. I included links to both those articles, but you have to be aware, especially with the Human Rights Watch one, it is upsetting. So I'm not going to go into it because we don't need those triggers. All this is to say, the reason why I included this story along with the one before, folk traditions are important. To remember them, to preserve them. There are lots of systems in place that try to stamp out folk traditions and culture. I mean, we see it happen with Native Americans all across, Indigenous people all across the world. So it's very important to preserve them. But as we evolve as a species and we fight for human rights, including gender equality, class equality, racial equity, less wealth disparity, religious freedom, bodily autonomy, all those things that we are fighting for still in 2023, we need proper education on harmful practices that impede on human rights and only serve to strengthen social power dynamics, which I think the story that I told, It Serves Me Right, is meant to keep a very strong class distinction. And it's meant to keep a very strong, like, we don't question certain systems. And I think that was the point of it. You know, that seems to very much be like the lesson here, is that if you question things, it serves you right if you fall. And that's just something that we cannot keep pushing as a moral lesson for kids. You know, they should be able to question things and make their own decisions and have bodily autonomy and all these things. But I really like this book.
I like it a lot.
Because Hassan M. Al-Shami knows all of this and acknowledges it, but still gives you a very honest view of Egyptian folklore. And it's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
I feel a little silly for doing Kisa the cat. In the same.
Kisa the cat.
Kisa the cat.
Kisa the cat.
It should be your human right to Kisa the cat.
It is your human right to Kisa the cat. And you know what? It's your human right to not Kisa the cat if you do not like to Kisa the cat. Mm-hmm. Like my mother, who does not like to Kisa the cat.
She hates to Kisa the cat.
Okay. Do you hear Francis?
I do.
So I had him sit in his crate, but I didn't close the door. And now he's sitting in his crate with a fully open door, screaming. No, he's getting closer here.
Okay. He's coming.
All right. Well, with that, guys, I think it's time for us to get the hell out of here.
See you later, gang.
See you later, alligators. Hasta mañana, cocorillos. So here's what we're thinking. If you liked this episode or you want to see the picture of the little cat driving a carriage with some feet as passengers, join us on our Instagram or our TikTok, or I guess just join us on our Instagram or our TikTok. They're both under Sort of the Story. You can email us with any of your questions or comments or pictures of your own cat driving a carriage with some feet next to him, if you have them, at sortofthestory@gmail.com. And you can go on our website, www.sortofthestory.com, for a list of all of our tales. And you can join our Patreon and get access to our Discord. All of those are in our show notes. And please, for God's sakes, please go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, but especially Apple Podcasts. I would like to start building up that so that we can maybe start making some lists somewhere. So if you like this podcast, that's something you can do for us. That is very nice.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. And have a happy rest of your August.
Whoa.
I know. All right. Bye.
Bye. I'm looking into parts agitators. Mm-hmm. They're these little barrels that are on engines, and you let them run. But basically, it has large grit sand inside. And if you have like screws and stuff like that that are like rusty, you put them in there with the things, like with the sand, and it knocks all the rust off and it gets them really clean without actually like changing the shape of the thing, which is nice.
Watching the sandblasting in those restoration videos.
Yeah, it's a little bit different from the sandblasting. It's like you put it in a bucket and then the bucket's full of sand. You put the things in with the sand, and then you put the lid on the thing, and it like vibrates.
Yeah,
but technically, it's called parts of vibration, which is making it really hard to Google. It's like, are you looking for a vibrator? No.
Yeah.
No, thanks, Google.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yes, but no.
No. I'm trying to, it's for my gear, for my parts.
It's
and
for
they're
work.
like, yeah, that's what it's for. I'm like, no, it's for like,
not my parts.
for like hardware. And they're like, well, we hope it's not software. I'm like, no, listen.
Google, calm down. Why is Google my drunk, horny aunt? Cut it out.
Google, come on. Give me a hand here, guys. Well,
Stop
it.
Well, that is a dilemma.
Yeah.